Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload, we'll be talking about the winter storm yet again, and I do apologize if the videos are a bit repetitive, but unfortunately, we do have a threat for a historic winter storm. I'm not going to use the word historic in the title, because I just don't like to do that anymore. It just seems a bit too clickbaity, if you will, but this most definitely fits the description of being historic 100%. And I want to just let you know that I won't be just covering the winter storm in this video. I'll try covering some of the rain and the severe side of this, because this is a multi-faced winter storm. There will be many aspects of it, heavy rain, warm temperatures, very cold temperatures, heavy snow. And first, let's start off by looking at the Storm Prediction Center. However, before we do, if you guys would like to subscribe to this channel, consider doing so. Check out the video, check out the channel, decide for yourself, and if you do like what you're seeing, liking the video would be awesome, and thank you for that. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center, we have a slight risk of severe thunderstorms forecasted for today and or tonight, and really this is centered across northern Illinois, northwestern Indiana, southern Wisconsin, western Michigan, and into eastern Iowa. And we already had a pretty large cluster of storms and showers come across this area. And I just want to quickly say that depending on how the clouds really unfold across this area, whether it's going to be more sunny or more cloudy, is really going to make a pretty large difference as to how this unfolds. More sun, the more severe weather is possible. Less sun, more cloud cover. We could be looking at a more kind of tempered severe weather event. A little bit more weaker. We'll have to see. It doesn't seem to be awfully destructive. It's a slight risk, but definitely something to keep an eye on for. And we'll see many more days of rain across the Midwest. Also, notice we do have the cold front making its first approaching into the Montana, North Dakota area. As we push through this week, we will be looking at this moving through much of Montana into Wyoming and Colorado. And that is where the cold air will meet up with this, and we could be looking at a good dusting of snow, if you will. We could be looking at possibly up to 2 feet in some locations. So definitely a large winter-like snowstorm in September. Records will most likely be broken, undoubtedly. Let's take a look at the climate, or let's start off by looking at the European model and see what it's showing in terms of its precipitation. And notice we are seeing this storm system up across southern Canada. This is affecting large portions of Ontario and Quebec. It's going to continue delivering storms across, again, potentially Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, as we go into tonight and tomorrow. Again, these storms have the potential to be severe. Mainly, though, large hail and heavy rain is the biggest threat. A few tornadoes may be possible. And again, few tornadoes sounds pretty weird, since even it takes just one tornado to be historic and destructive. These tornadoes don't seem to be in the EF5 category, probably a EF0 or EF1 if they do occur, but definitely keep your eyes to the sky and on the radar. Notice this pushes through into James Bay. We see lots of rain across southern Canada. We could be looking at Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, looking at some pretty nice rain showers out of this. And a lot of strong wind. This system is wind-packed, if you will. Then our attention turns to this cold front right here. Notice when it occurs in Montana, it doesn't look anything really atypical. It's still a bit unusual to see that much snow in September, but it's not historic. It would not be a record. It's just a bit cool, right? But really, once it moves into Wyoming is where things get a bit more unusual. You can see that the snow becomes way more widespread. We start seeing the mixing into the lower elevations, and where the snow does fall, it falls heavy. And also I want to point out, again, look, we have lots of rain and precipitation pushing across Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Missouri at this time. This would be now early Tuesday morning. And this would, again, be a concern for some flooding, as we've already seen rain across these areas. And this storm looks to prolong the rain duration even more across these areas. And if you were to look, I want to go back kind of backtrack to this since I want to go over the timing. Notice that for tomorrow, really, it will be really just the higher elevations of Montana that will be seeing the snow. You can see this is midday tomorrow. Just really light rain across the lower elevations. But then as we push into Monday night and Tuesday morning, again, the snow really takes over as we get the nighttime temperatures, so a bit cooler, and also just in general the anomalies grow and we see more of a cooler air mass come in. We start seeing rain across the Midwest, as I mentioned, snow across Wyoming. Now we are pushing into really mid-morning hours of Tuesday. We start seeing some of that snow push into northern Colorado. Look at that. I mean, at this point, most of Wyoming is seeing snow, not rain, and we see a good portion of potentially western Nebraska seeing snow. Not a good portion, I'm sorry. Extreme portions of western Nebraska seeing snow. This may be a bit overdone, but again, the European and GFS agree on this pretty well, and that just leads me to think that it's not just a bluff by the models. It looks to be definitely a chance of snow across even, the plains. The rain continues across the Midwest. As you look, you could see that it kind of steers itself a bit further to the north, but look at the snow. It continues developing heavy across Colorado. It may lighten up a bit Tuesday in the afternoon, but it re-strengthens as the daytime temperatures do cool off, and the storms also strengthens the storm itself. You can see some very heavy snowfall rates possibly across Colorado and the mountains, and then that shifts over into portions of eastern Colorado, Denver, pretty much, even Goodland, Kansas could be seeing some snow out of this. Notice the rain continuing to occur across the Midwest. Maybe not as widespread as it was Monday morning, but definitely still showers and storms occurring. You could see Texas, New Mexico also seeing rain. This is just extremely good news as these areas are very dry, so this is good. The snow is not that good news because obviously the crops will be damaged. Even the ones that aren't, that are already done growing and are ready to be harvested, they could get squashed by this heavy wet snow. And also the trees have leaves on them, so they will start breaking branches, falling over. What does that mean? Well, they will fall on cars and power lines, so power outages will probably be likely, and possibly damage on even houses if a tree falls over a car or just property. Notice as this pushes into mid-morning Wednesday, it really starts to dwindle. We start seeing the snow threat disappear, and we start seeing the rain kind of split up. We are still seeing quite a bit of showers across the Texas area, but as we push this into forward time, now into the Wednesday overnight and into Thursday, we are still seeing rain across the Midwest, a few showers across the mountains, snow showers. And as we push this forward, you can see the remaining precipitation kind of basically moves itself out towards the northeast. And that's, by the time this system's out of here completely, it's almost a week away. So this system's going to be very long-lived. Let's take a look at the total accumulated snowfall and take a look at how much snow could possibly fall across these locations. And we noticed that across the mountains of British Columbia and western Alberta, these snow amounts, again, are going to be more focused towards the mountains, not as much the lower elevations. But you look through Montana, starts getting a bit more widespread, some amounts getting up to 1.5 feet. And in Wyoming, again, the snow reaches the lower elevations. Some lower elevations could be looking at almost 1/2 foot of snow. The higher elevations, this is like the most amount of snow on here. 24 inches, you could see 2 feet. That is definitely a bit unusual, even across the mountains. You could see snow across the mountains in September, but usually it's several inches, not several feet, right? And again, the extreme thing about this event is not necessarily the snow or the magnitude of the snow in the mountains. It's the magnitude of the snow possibly in the lower elevations or even in the plains. You can see the European model puts out several inches out in Nebraska. And there's, Nebraska, it's not really mountainous area. It does get a bit mountainous as you approach further west, but out right here, that's pretty flat, dry, and hot. And they do not see snow typically in even September. And this is early September. It's not even late September. Notice we push this into Colorado. This forecast timing, we see, again, the widespread amounts even towards the lower elevations, several inches. Denver probably seeing 3 to 4, maybe 5 inches. We'll have to see how that goes. And you can see the areas where the cold and the snow and the higher elevations line up, we could be easily looking at up to 3 feet of snow. So just a lot of snow potential. And I want to look at the precipitation amounts just to show you where the heavy rain will fall, and how actually this, this snow will actually do some good for the drought. It will bring some relief. But again, it's unfortunately coming in the wrong form. It would be better if this was just rain, but at least 3-4 inches of precipitation in terms of moisture, rain. That's good. They'll take that any time they'll get it, especially since it's been so dry. You can see Texas seeing quite a bit of rain. The Midwest, Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, seeing 1 to 2, 3 inches at least. Now, this is just one model. Let's take a look at the GFS model. Let's go back right here and switch it to the GFS. GFS is probably the second best long-range model. It does a very good job. Has a reputation of being a bit jumpy, but it's done a very good job lately. Notice we have that first storm across Canada. Definitely a strong storm. Strong winds, heavy winds will be plowing through these areas. Even as far as Illinois, Iowa, they'll be feeling the winds. I know my forecast for today is strong winds in the afternoon, and that's to do with this system way up here. And if you're closer to it, you'll be feeling more of these winds. And you can see that the cold front is stretching across the Midwest. Definitely some storms possible across Ohio, Pennsylvania, and obviously southern Canada. Then again, our attention switches to the GFS, or sorry, the cold front in the mountains. This is, you can see pretty well agreeing with the European. We have the snow a bit more isolated as you go towards Montana and southwestern Canada, but as you get into Wyoming, you can see it becomes more widespread, lining up with the overnight hours of Tuesday. So the timing on these models are pretty much identical. So is really the situation with the snow. The GFS may be a bit more bullish on the snow. That's what it sometimes does. I would look at maybe more of the European rather than the GFS if you wanted an more accurate forecast. But they are still in really good agreement, which is, a good thing. You can see it brings way more snow across Nebraska, brings it as far east as North Platte probably, and into much of eastern Colorado. You can see snow. The European was a bit more centered across the central and western part of the state. The GFS is just more towards the east. Very heavy snow. It brings it as far south as New Mexico and the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas and Kansas. Goodland, Kansas, possibly seeing snow. And yeah, that quickly does dwindle once we get into Wednesday. The GFS keeps it along just a bit longer. But then it starts moving the precipitation towards the north, and you can see it slowly makes its way into the Midwest. And what the difference is here with the GFS is the Northeast. I say the difference is the Northeast because what this does, if you recall, the European just takes this unorganized band of showers and energy, it just moves it off the shore. The GFS strengthens this into a large storm and brings lots of precipitation across the Northeast, the coastal areas, upstate, Northeast, southern Canada. And this is good news because a good portion of this region right here is under a pretty serious drought situation. Not as bad as we're seeing in the West, but definitely a concerning drought situation. So this will definitely provide some relief. And obviously it will come in the form of rain, not snow, and that would definitely be a good beneficial thing. Also, in case I didn't focus on this, you can see the Midwest also seeing the rain with this system at around Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe, kind of continuous rain. So the European and GFS are in pretty good agreement on that. Let's take a look at the total snowfall accumulations. Again, I said the GFS may be a bit more aggressive with this. You can see it puts out more snow across Kansas and Nebraska. But again, I'm not saying that the GFS is necessarily wrong. It could be a scenario where we see a bit more snow across Kansas. I would say, maybe a few inches. I wouldn't say a foot of snow, as the GFS is saying. But definitely across the mountains, 2 to 3 feet is not out of the question. Let's take a look at the total accumulated precipitation. You can see that it is pretty significant, and it does include more across the Northeast, the GFS, and the European, and that would be a good case scenario. Also, quite a bit across the Midwest. It has been dry across these locations, so that's definitely still good news. And it does include quite a bit across Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas, and the West. So that definitely will provide a bit of relief for the drought. Unfortunately, it won't, obviously get rid of the drought. That's long term. That would take a whole pattern change, not just one or even a couple of storms. Let's take a look now at the 8 to 14 day outlook. I just want to quickly show you what they're expecting in terms of temperatures in the long range. You could see September 14th through the 20th. So after the storm occurs, we could still be looking at a cooler pattern across the eastern United States and then warmer across the western United States. In terms of precip, generally it looks to be dry. No big storm systems, or even if one does occur, it's gonna be just one or two, not very high numbered. So they're pretty confident in that. If you look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, very much of the same story. Maybe the cool area is just centered more towards the central United States, warmer in the west and then warmer in the southeast. And then the precipitation is similar, just wetter across the east, really the northeast, kind of the coastal areas, and the mid-Atlantic, and then drier across the good portion of the country. So yeah, that's basically it for today's video, guys. If you want more information, I want you to look at the National Weather Service, as this is where the best information is provided. Watches warnings are already all issued, but notice there's also red flag warnings, and this is associated with the extreme heat that's been going on. So really this just juxtaposes each other, and we have, today, I mean, it's widespread 90s across these locations, but then you can see Casper right there. Let's take a look at that. Capital of Wyoming, today was 88, and then you could see Monday night 32, Tuesday 38, and several inches of snow, 4 to 6 at least it seems at this point. So keep an eye to the sky, to the National Weather Service, and again, this is a rather 100% historic event, but I won't include that in the title just because of clickbait reasons. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.